Yes! My favorite slasher, Jason, is finally coming to Dead by Daylight. I can't wait to test him out on the PTB. So Jason is finally in Dead by Daylight after 10 long years. This past week has been an emotional roller coaster for me between looking at a shack for 13 hours straight and waiting 30 minutes to queue as Jason, only for a quad disconnect. Despite the Sisyphean task of waiting behavior keeps throwing at me, I have managed to play Jason a handful of times. This first-hand experience with the killer, combined with at least 12 hours of DBD Jason content consumption per day, has helped me solidify my thoughts on the character, and it made me realize that people are generally overlooking something about Jason that has huge implications for Dead by Daylight's future. But before you go and leave an angry comment without even watching the video because I am simply criticizing Jason, know that I love this killer, and he's going to be a day one pickup for me. His power is very fun and smooth to use with a large skill floor, which makes me excited to learn him. The problem I have with Jason has nothing to do with the killer or character itself, but rather the warning signs his mechanics present for Dead by Daylight's future. So in this video, I want to talk about everything involving the new killer, the slasher, starting with his design. So I've seen people say that the Jason universe design doesn't fit DBD due to its more cartoonish nature and looks similar to something seen in Fortnite. While this may be true for his base design, I think that his cosmetics more than make up for it. The behavior art department, as always, knocked the cosmetic designs out of the park for this killer. Each and every one of them is unique and helps exemplify the horror monster that Jason is. A particularly creative one that caught my attention was the Depths of Despair, where it looks like Jason has been submerged at the bottom of a lake, I am legally not allowed to mention, for years and just crawled out ready to kill. So at the end of the day, if you don't like Jason's rather tame base design, which is made that way for legal reasons, then you can pick up one of the many cosmetics they made for him. His Mori is also very cool, making Jason's design extremely high quality, just like his sound design. Speaking of which, I want to take a second to glaze. The sound effects for Jason are so good. His iconic he walks away into the fog is so well done, and the jump scare sounds really do make the survivors feel like they are in a Friday the 13th horror sequence. His chase music also contributes to this feeling of immersion, and I just think that his sound design is very well done. However, the design of the killer may be perfect. The gameplay he brings to the table concerns me. Let's start with his perks and then move on to his power. Hex Scared to Death has a decent effect on some killers, but it has an absurd activation condition. And it's a hex, so its effect can be removed once activated. Rampage is okay, but it takes a while to charge up, which makes it mid compared to other meta perks. Silent Shadow could be okay at low MMR, but it honestly doesn't provide enough value without an in-game build. These perks are very disappointing, especially considering some of the survivor perks that were released alongside them, but it's fun to have 3 new perks no one will ever use, I guess. I just don't understand how Behavior expects releasing 3 mid-tier perks for killers will change anything about the killer meta in the near future, which leads me to my biggest concern about Jason and his perks. He represents a stagnation in gameplay. His perks don't shake up anything about the current killer meta because they are simply not strong enough to. And I think that's a problem because perks and killer powers are the only things that deviate the gameplay. We haven't had a meta change in a while, which has created a sense of staleness in the current gameplay, as I'm sure we've all experienced. So what, you might ask? Jason's perks may not change anything for the killer meta, but I'm sure his power is interesting enough to make up for it, right? Well, sort of. Jason's power, Omnipresent Evil, is like a spirit phase mixed with Dracula's bat form, and it feels very smooth. I also love seeing the animation of him walking out of pallets and windows. Jason also steps into the fog when he enters Omnipresent Evil, which is very thematic. His spear having the velocity of a charged Huntress axe that pushes survivors back and pins them to walls, which then allows for mini Moris at 2 hooks is cool. That being said, if you had your listening ears on, you could probably tell that I compared his projectile and teleport to other killers' abilities, and that's because Jason's power is all recycled from other killers. Even some of his add-ons are recycled from other killers. That's what worries me for DBD's future, because if Behavior can't even make an original power with depth for the most iconic slasher of all time, then how are they going to do it in the future? They did this exact same thing with Springtrap. They made him a watered-down Frankenstein of other killers to make him easy for new players to pick up and play. So in the end, they retained some of the players who bought the game just for him. Copium over Springtrap was the same as for Jason. People said that Springtrap's skill floor was infinite due to the arc on his axe, but people play him as a zoning character instead of going for crazy shots, and the same same thing is going to happen with Jason, in my opinion. Again, I want to clarify that I love playing both Jason and Springtrap, but both of these characters have unique abilities in their lore, and if Behavior can't even design good original powers based on these abilities, then it doesn't give me hope for the future of the game. I understand Scott Cawthon helped design Springtrap, and making a power for Jason is difficult, which in the end I think they did a good job for him, but nothing in this update added anything substantial that changed the gameplay flow. I don't understand why they took no risks with the Jason update, considering he's Jason and people are going to buy him anyway. His counterplay is basically the same as all of the other projectile killers. What I'm saying is Jason is my limit with recycled killer range teleport powers with no depth. They could have made Jason at least interesting by having him throw different projectiles that behave differently. Like maybe the hooks he throws go straight and damage, but the canoe oars have an arc and splash to hinder survivors. That way players would have to look at what he's holding and play accordingly instead of counterplaying the same against Jason as all other ranged killers. Or maybe Jason had a weapons wheel or something. Instead, Behavior didn't do any of this, which brings me to my conclusion. I'm very grateful to have Jason in Dead by Daylight after 10 years, and I think he is a blast to play. But his power brings nothing new from a gameplay standpoint. The entire update doesn't change anything in terms of game mechanics. It brings a killer with similar playstyles to other killers, perks that won't change the killer meta at all, and no perk tweaks or game balance changes. The only potential game-altering stuff being added is a new survivor perks, and I don't think that allowing players to rat easily and reset palettes for nothing is a positive gameplay change. It shows that Behavior would rather stick to a generic formula that guarantees results and retention rather than risk innovation in order to yield greater results and create a new experience. And that worries me for the future of DBD, because if Behavior doesn't risk innovation with these big licenses that are guaranteed to be a success, then how will the game ever grow from a technical standpoint? If Behavior keeps changing nothing about the core game for either side, then I see a future where DBD falls off due to disinterest in the same game mechanics or failure against a future competitor, if there ever is one. So that's why Jason and his update worries me about the future of the game. I know I'm going to get hate for this video, but I don't care because it's my genuine opinion. I hope Behavior can introduce some potentially game-changing and interesting perks and killers in the future, but I'm not holding my breath. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.